Okay, now another one of the new features in Logic 10.4.2 is this one. Imported multitrack stems can follow or define the project tempo. And it's a variation on this feature, which I've already shown you. Okay, now listen, I've got flu. It came on in the last couple of days. So I might do some coughing fits during this video. Okay, I showed you this one already. Okay, this is where you analyse a group of audio files that you've already brought into Logic. And this new feature allows Logic to analyse more than one file as if they're all multi-track stems from the same recording. So it's going to, you can, if you remember from that previous video, you can tick which of the stems you want to contribute to the overall analysis. And so I'm assuming what this new feature does in Logic is it goes through all of the stems and works out the best average, because musicians playing live on multi-track stems recordings, they're not going to be locked right in unless they play to a click track. There's going to be very subtle timing variations between the different instruments. So it must go through and analyse them all and look for the best mean average for each downbeat and subbeat. Okay, now this I've shown you already. This is where you do it after the files have been brought into Logic. But there's also the ability to have it do that, analyse a group of files as multi-track stems at the point you import them. Okay, let's look at it. So here's a new project. I'll bring in some stems. Here we go. Add. Done. Okay, now first we want to bring these stems, which are all the same multi-track recording session, the same song. We want to bring them into the project, and we want the project tempo to adapt to fit the stems. So we need to set this to adapt, like that. Right? Okay. So we select one of the audio files in our project media, Command A to select them all, bring them in, and I'm going to drop them at bar 3, because like I said, I always like to leave a couple of bars space at the beginning in case Logic needs to shift the stems forward a bit to align the downbeat. Okay. Now, yes, you can put them on the first beat to the first bar, and if they need to be shifted forward, Logic can shift them into negative bar and beat numbers. But I found by experimenting over the last sort of 24 hours or so that sometimes that causes some of the stems to shift and others not. So I just like them to be back a couple of bars, which gives plenty of space if they need to be shifted forward. Okay, so I'm going to drop them all at bar 3. Bam. Now, we get the usual dialog box that pops up when you bring in more than one audio file. You can use existing tracks if there are sufficient existing tracks for all the files you're bringing in. Place all the files on one track, which you wouldn't want to do, or create a new track for every file. But now we've got this new option here. All the selected files that I'm bringing in are stems from one project. Yes, I tick that. So they will all be analysed to find the mean average best position for the downbeat and the subbeats across all of the stems contributing to the analysis, which is all of these tracks, right? All of these stems. And because we set the project tempo here to adapt, after it's analysed everything, it will set the project tempo to fit these stems on the fly. Here we go. Bam! Now, I've imported these previously because I've already imported all these files and mixed them for the band. So they've got some tempo or marker information, but I won't import that. Okay, now there isn't anything telling you that work is happening. Oh, there it is. Okay. Well, it's done it. It works. It's adapted the project tempo. Bing, bang, bong. On the money. So let's see where it's put the downbeat. It's shifted all the stems slightly forward of bar 3, notice. So let's see where it's put the downbeat to the first beat of the drums. Let's just grab all these and lower their level so we can hear the metronome. Here we go. Bar 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2. Okay, so it's put the opening downbeat of the drums on bar 11. And it's done it. It's adapted the tempo so that the bar downbeats are lined up with the audio. Remember, this technique does not shift the audio in any way. It moves the bar lines here to fit the audio by putting in different tempo changes. Right, it's done it. It does it on the fly. That's just fantastic. Now we can choose any one of the stems, double click and go into the editor. One thing you will find with this, look, just like when we analysed the stems in place, remember that? A down mix has been created. There's the down mix. The combination of all of the stems contributing to the analysis have been down mixed on the fly into this stereo, or maybe it's mono, I don't know, sub mix, which then Logic further uses as part of its analysis to get the downbeat. Now one thing I've noticed is this, look, let's put the metronome on, look where it thinks where it puts the first downbeat of the drums in terms of bar numbers. Bar 9, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. So it's got the downbeat correct. In the analysis part, in the editor, it's putting that first hit of the drums coming in at bar 9. But in our arrange area here, it's putting the first downbeat of the drums at bar 11. 2 bars back. Now that's probably because I've put the stems at bar 3. Even though they've been shifted slightly forward to align the downbeat, there are 2 bars before the analysis begins there. It's shifted it forward a little bit, right? So that's the difference. Bar 9 in the editor, bar 11 in the arrange area. It doesn't make any difference. That's not a problem because this is the analysis and this is just simply how it's been placed in the arrange area. On the money, it's done it, right? Let me undo. Right. Now what if we want to get the stems, because if we look at that release note, it says imported multitrack stems can follow or define the project tempo. Now in that case, they were defining the project tempo. The project tempo was taken from the analysis of the audio, so the audio was left alone. It wasn't touched. It wasn't flexed. It wasn't made faster or slower. Its timing wasn't adjusted or tweaked in any way. The project tempo was simply adjusted across every bar to fit the audio. But it also says that the imported multitrack stems can follow the project tempo, in which case we want to keep this in the project tempo here in keep. But for this to happen on the fly, we must go to our Smart Tempo project settings and set imported audio files to either on and align bars or on align bars and beats. Now I wouldn't recommend using on. I would use on and align bars. That way it'll shift the audio, it'll analyse the audio, find the downbeat, shift the audio in time in the arrange area so that that downbeat is exactly on a bar line. Then it will automatically flex the audio to fit the project tempo. So I put it to that, on and align bars. Now that when we brought the stems in previously and allowed the stems to set the project tempo, the average project tempo was around, the speed of this playing was about 93 beats per minute. So I'm going to set the project tempo here to 110, which is faster by about 15 beats per minute. Okay, and remember, we've set our Smart Tempo project settings here to set imported files to on and align bars, but I've not ticked trim start of new regions. And our project tempo here is set to keep. Right, let's do it. Select the first stem or one of the stems, Command A to select them all. Bring them in, drop them on bar 3. Create new tracks, and all selected files are stems from one project. Bam. Don't import. That's just because previously I've used these files, so they've got some tempo and marker information in them. Okay, again, you don't get an indicator anything's happening, but it is. It's a bit annoying that there isn't an indicator. And it's done it. Pardon me. There's that flute. Now, if I select each of these files, each of these stems, look up here in the region parameter box. Sure enough, flex and follow is switched to on and align bars, automatically done on the fly for every single one. So all of these have been flexed. But the overall combination of all of those stems was analysed as a multi-track set to find the mean average on the money downbeat across the whole song. Pardon me. As usual, if we go into any of the stems to look in the Smart Tempo editor, our down mix is there as usual. Right, so it's still analysed all the stems, created a down mix. But the difference is this time it's automatically flexed and followed all of those stems on the fly to fit the project tempo, which is 110 beats per minute. So here we go. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2. It's done it. And it's saying that the first downbeat of the drums is at bar 11. Again, 2 bars late, because I bet if we go into the editor, I bet in our down mix on the fly analysis logic's done, I bet it puts the first downbeat of the drums at bar 9 again. Yeah, okay, but again, no problem. That's just because these empty 2 bars at the start. But sure enough, it's done it. Everything on the fly was flexed, but Logic analysed all those stems as part of a multi-track set. Yeah, and by doing that, it can look at all of them and go, well, that guitar is slightly back, but that drum is on it, and that hi-hat's slightly forward. So it works out the average of where, by looking at all the stems, where is the best place to put the downbeat for each bar. You know. But in this case, once it's got those downbeat positions as a root mean sort of average across all the analysed stems, it's then adjusting the actual audio files that put on the flex, and they've all been flexed and subtly moved so that the downbeats, as analysed across the multi-track set, are lining up with the bar lines, and they've all been shifted to fit the tempo of the project. 110 beats per minute, much faster, as you can hear. And once that's done, I can now change my project tempo to anything I want, and these stems will just adjust and follow. Look, 120, even faster. 130, let's go wacky. In fact, let's go to 140, full bore. Let's really change it. This is like 30 or 40 beats per minute, nearly faster. Okay, it does sound like Tiny Tim or something. Or we can go really slow. Let's go down to 80 beats per minute. And they just follow. Yeah, lovely jubbly. So I'll put this back to, let's say, 100, which is faster than the original tempo. If I turn off the metronome, even though all of these stems have been flexed, it's only been done with on and align bars. So Logic has sorry. Jeez, I hope you don't get this flu. It's a cough flu combined with every muscle and joint in your body aches. Oh, it's awful. Yeah. I chose for my Smart Tempo project settings, I chose on and align bars. So that means that Logic analysed all these as part of a multi-track set, worked out the mean average best downbeat across all the stems, and then uses flex to shift those downbeats to fit the bar lines at the project tempo. But any playing in between bar lines is in between downbeats is not being flexed or moved. So there is still subtle variation in between each downbeat of the first beat of each bar. It sounds quite natural. It's speeded up to 100. It sounds quite natural. just out of interest, let's see what type of flex. Let's use polyphonic for all of them, look. So, pardon me. So yeah, that sounds quite natural. But now it's rock on the money. Each downbeat is exactly on the bar at 100 beats per minute. All I can say is, if you do a lot of work on multi-track stems, this is a fantastic feature, because there are a lot of bands who like to not use any form of audio quantize on their material. But for a lot of contemporary pop and rock music, this kind of tightening, where the audio is subtly shifted, is very much something that happens in modern rock and pop production. It just makes it super tight. And with this new feature, you can bring your recording session stems in and on the fly conform them to a fixed tempo to super tighten them, or just go with the original looseness of the playing and adjust the project tempo to fit the playing. Now, I think the project tempo for this was about 93, so if I bring the tempo down to, let's say, 94, now again, look, some of these parts in between flex lines go blue. See that? At the faster tempo, they're all white, meaning they're all speeding up. But as I lower it, some of them go blue, which means they're at their original tempo. Right? So, there. 94, 93. That, somewhere around there was the original tempo. Obviously, bands speed up a little bit or slow down a little bit on some bars. So the original tempo is probably around 94. So if I set it just one beat roughly faster at 95, we're now getting the original, pretty much the original tempo of the song, as near as damn it, but it's just been super tightened to the bar lines by using flex, but it's done it automatically to every stem as we imported them. It's a fantastic feature. So it still sounds natural, it still sounds like a real band playing, it doesn't sound robotic, it doesn't sound fake, it doesn't sound like it's been messed with, but it has been messed with, to simply make every single bar fixed at 95, or it could be 94, which is near as damn it the original tempo of the song, but now it's like super tight. Every single bar is exactly 94 beats per minute, or 95 or 93, or whatever you want to go with this particular song. But all of the playing in between each bar line, look, all these little sub-beats of the playing have been left alone. They haven't been moved at all. So it's only the downbeats that have been shifted to be right on the money. We still have the natural timing in between, across each bar, in between bar lines. That's left alone. So there's still that sort of, it doesn't sound sort of robotic and too sort of unnatural. If you wanted to make it super tight, you just select all the regions and switch their flex and follow here to on align bars and beats. Bam. Now that's made it even tighter again, because it's aligned the bars already, but now it's aligned the beats within each bar. So it's now it will sound much more tighter, but it might sound unnatural, or you might think it sounds a bit too tight. It hasn't got a sort of organic feel anymore, you know what I mean? So there you go. That is really all you need to know. I mean, I'm sure, you know, there may be other things, but I haven't read the manual. But that's the new feature. On the fly, importing stems, Logic can analyse them as a group of stems if you tell Logic these are stems from the same project, and then the project tempo will be adjusted to fit the stems, or the stems will be adjusted to fit the project tempo, provided you set this first before importing to on and align bars. That's the one I would recommend. And you set the project tempo here to keep. And it works. It's bloody fantastic. And there is one other thing which you might find quite interesting. Just turn that flex off. Remember, when we're doing this analysis of all the stems as part of a multi-track set, when we go into the editor, we've got all the individual stems, And we got the down mix. Logic creates this down mix on the fly, right? And it's interesting that, because if we go and look in the folder where the stems are living, let's just go back to add audio file, which takes us to the folder where the stems are. There's all the stems I just imported here. Inside the same folder with the stems, look, there's this Smart Tempo Multitrack Set 1 AIF, which was created today at the time I did this import. And after the analysis happened, the down mix is created, and it is actually a down mix file. Logic analyzes all the stems, down mixes them on the fly in the background to a sort of mixed down file, and that's what's being used for this down mix waveform display. There it is in the folder, Smart Tempo Multitrack Set 1 AIF. Just out of interest, that's what's being created to make this down mix file that we see the waveform of. Yeah, interesting, huh? Okay, there it is. Bloody great feature, this. Absolutely fantastic feature. And let's move on and see what else we've got in this new version of Logic.